So do you like cats? Then don't watch this movie. Dementer is brought to us by director Chad Crawford Kinkle and stars Katie Groshong as Katie. Katie is a former member of a backwoods cult that we're led to believe had some type of satanic origin. Specifically what kind, we're not totally sure, but what we are sure of is that it wasn't wholesome. Now, having broken away from that cult, she's wanting to do some good in the world. It's almost kind of like she wants to do a penance for some of the bad that she did. Now, we never really find out for sure what all she did while in this cult, or even if she did anything that bad, or honestly, even if she was there by her own free will. But she was part of it, that much is for sure, and now she wants to do some good in the world. So she takes a job taking care of special needs adults, and while doing this, she finds some odd goings on with one of her patients, Stephanie. And by odd goings on, I mean that a demonic force is trying to take over Stephanie. So now it's up to Katie to do something about the situation by either stopping the demonic forces from coming in, or possibly falling back into her old ways and allowing these demonic forces to have their way with this poor woman. Dementer is a very visual film that suggests a lot, but doesn't necessarily tell a lot. This movie doesn't do any hand-holding. It lets you see what's going on and you make your own assessment of these situations. And I like that. I like when movies don't treat the viewer like they don't have a brain. I appreciate the fact that the movie just shows us the story, what's going on, and we have to assess it and decide what we think is happening. Now, that's not to say that you're just like lost throughout this film. You're not. You definitely know what's going on. But there's a whole lot of stuff that's up in the air. There's a whole lot of stuff that we see that's happened in the past, and we kind of have to piece together to make our own version of what probably went down. It's never totally explained to us, but that's fine, because there's never really a time in the film where it would have flowed naturally to let us, the audience, know. The movie gives us enough in these flashbacks so that we are able to piece together more or less what's happened and why Katie is the way that she is. Because Katie's not okay. She has definitely suffered some trauma. If we're to take her on her words, then she is wanting to do some good in the world, but she has some major mental trauma. Chick got some issues, man, like some really big issues. But considering what she went through, it is understandable, and she is trying to deal with these things the best way that she knows how. This struggle throughout the film is something I thought was done very well and I really liked. It shows that she is trying to do some good. She's trying to live a more or less normal life, but all this trauma from her past keeps encroaching on her day-to-day life. It can be difficult for her at times to just get through mundane day-to-day tasks that we take for granted. And the movie does a great job of showing how her fragile mental state continues to encroach upon her day-to-day life. The story is told in a fairly unconventional way that is pretty refreshing. However, it's not gonna be for everybody. As I said, the movie doesn't explain a lot, so you gotta kind of come to your own conclusions a lot. Some people are not going to like that type of storytelling. It also takes some time to get to what's really going on here. This movie's not in a hurry to do anything, but it is consistently engaging. There's a consistent layer of foreboding over everything in the movie that keeps you interested and wondering what's really going on here. Also, on top of that, we the viewers are never totally sure of what Katie's motivations are. Is she telling the truth? Does she really want to do something good in the world, or is she here for more nefarious reasons? At times it seems that yes, she is here to do some good, but at other times it seems that she may be up to something more nefarious. And then there's the whole question of her sanity. Is any of this real? Is this all just stuff happening in her head? Are these things that she's seeing and hearing actually really there? We're never totally sure. The way the movie plays out, it could really go either way, and it leaves it to you to come to your own conclusion. And I think this is where the movie is going to divide people. You're going to have some people that are totally okay with that. They love this open-ended approach to filmmaking. These are the types that like to go online and talk about what could or could not be when it comes to a certain movie. They like to talk about what they think certain things meant in the movie and just dissect every bit of it. But then you'll have the other people that really want something more clear-cut and defined, and that is not what you're going to get with Dementer. So if you're that type of person that is drawn more to those well-defined, more clear-cut narratives, then Dementer probably isn't going to be the one for you. Me, myself, I did really enjoy the film. I found it to be pretty refreshing. It's unconventional as hell for sure, but it is a very refreshing, interesting story. And while the ending did leave me with a whole lot of questions, that was its purpose. That's what the movie set out to do. It wants you to talk about this thing in the end. It wants you to ask questions. And looking back at the film and the way that it was, I don't really know what I was expecting out of this ending. I honestly don't know how they could have ended it differently and it stayed consistent with the tone of the film that led up to the ending. So in that respect, I do think that they did a good job with the ending. However, it's not the ending that some people are going to want. As a whole, I did enjoy Dementer's refreshing narrative and execution. Performance-wise, everybody's pretty good. There are a few shortcomings in a couple of scenes, but nothing too bad. There's not really a lot of characters in this movie as a whole, but what we do get is all pretty good. Katie Grossong definitely is the standout here as our lead, Katie. She carries the film and the vast majority of the scenes include her. While everybody else is fine, Grossong is really good here. She sells this character with a broken psyche and is very believable as this woman whose desperation just grows as the film goes on. One of the main reasons this movie works is her performance. If we didn't believe in her character, then this thing would just fall apart. Thankfully, she does come through in a big way and does a great job here. Overall though, these are some solid performances that I did enjoy for the most part. From a technical standpoint, the movie is in good hands, though at first glance you would think there's not really a lot going on here. Special effects wise, we don't really get a whole lot. A lot of it is kind of camera trickery. However, there is a part with a cat that I assume is not a real cat, but you know, they did a really good job of convincing me that it was. Beyond that though, the movie doesn't really have a whole lot of special effects. We get some blood and stuff like that, but you know, it's all practical. It looks fine. It is what it is. Most of the technical wizardry in this movie comes from the camera work and the editing. Now here I think that they did go above and beyond, especially in the editing department. The way this movie's cut together is very interesting. It keeps you involved. The flashbacks being worked organically into situations as they happened is really well done here. They're not always just like clear-cut flashbacks that take up a bulk of the movie. No, it's like as things happen in the movie, we'll get a little snippet of the flashback, and sometimes the flashback is just kind of worked into the scene in different parts to explain things as they're happening, and more to explain how she's dealing with something now as a result of things that happened in the past. This is a really good storytelling device, and they did a great job of implementing it here. Overall, well, there's not like a whole lot from a technical perspective going on here that we haven't seen in other films. What they do use, they use to great effect. Dementer was an interesting film, and I did like it. I can't say that I loved it, but I did like it and enjoyed my time with it. It approached its storytelling in a very interesting way and didn't hold your hand at all. And while this approach to storytelling isn't going to be for everyone, and that ending is going to rub some people the wrong way, if you are more receptive to that more open-ended style of storytelling, I think you'll find something here to like. Some solid performances, interesting editing, and an unorthodox yet very refreshing story make Dementer absolutely worth checking out on streaming.
Across the street.
As I mentioned, this movie is not going to be for everybody. However, if this type of filmmaking does sound like it would be your kind of thing, then check out Dementer one night and you'll have a pretty good time with it. So there it is, guys, my review of Dementer. If you enjoyed, want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you liked what I had to say, give me a like. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, stay sexy, Cornersville. While watching this movie, I kept thinking to myself, these places that they're at and just the surrounding as a whole looks really familiar. And the reason being is because this movie was shot just a little bit south of Nashville, which is where I live. Now that's not like totally out there. It's not unheard of movies to shoot here in Nashville or in these surrounding areas. But this movie's depiction of this cult and some of its more satanic, demonic kind of situations is pretty grounded and realistic seeming. And knowing that it was all shot here in this area, and also some of the other really weird out there shit I've seen here, has got me a bit concerned. It makes me think that there may be some actual demonic fucking hillbillies out there. In fact, I know for a fact there are some demonic fucking hillbillies out there. Whether that shit's real or not, I don't know, but they think it is, and that's dangerous enough. And this is one of the reasons that I don't take my ass out to the fucking country.